The opinions and statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB. And now, your host, Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me again here in the Know with David O. I am David O. And I have three wonderful guests that you are really going to enjoy hearing from and learn a little bit from as well. Plus, we will have a live musical performance. So my guests are Lovett Hines, really an iconic figure here in Philadelphia. You'll learn about him and you'll learn why, especially, during this Jazz Appreciation Month. Lovett Hines, the music education director at the Philadelphia Clef Club of Jazz. And then we will be hearing from MINKA. They are a dynamic rock band, really a rock dance band, trying to cut the edges off of tradition and categories, bringing something fresh and new, maybe a little psychotic, definitely schizophrenic, but we're going to hear from them. They're going to perform. You'll see what I'm talking about. And then everybody's favorite topic, how can I not pay as much taxes as the government is making me pay? Graham O'Neill is here from the city of Philadelphia. And listen, if you're not in Philadelphia, check out your local community because they probably have something similar. Graham O'Neill is the administrator of Taxpayer Assistance Programs for the Department of Revenue, and he will be talking about taxpayer tax credits and exemptions, so stay tuned for that. First, let me thank my sponsor, that is Weinerman Pain and Wellness, the fantastic job they do, and their involvement for anyone who has been injured and needs to be rehabilitated and help brought back to the best physical person you can be. And so many times, the best physical person you can be also affects your mental health as well. If you recall, I hope you were listening last week, we had two very important people on the show. One, Professor Linda Darling Hammond, a professor at Stanford University, one of the foremost experts in public education here in the United States. She was the director of President Obama's Education Policy Transition Team. I had recorded that interview with her earlier and just wanted to play it again. Public schools, public education, such an important topic. And then we heard from Michael Smith, Executive Director of Cradles to Crayons, providing for kids in need. Just a wonderful nonprofit organization. Right now, let me introduce you to my first guest. Definitely charming, charming gentleman. But as I said, someone who has really made his mark here in Philadelphia through music education, and that is Lovett Hines. Lovett, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, David. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, well, listen, some people don't know who you are, but they probably heard of these people. Amir Thompson, also known as Questlove from The Roots, Kamal, Jimmy Gray, Damian Bryson, Christian McBride, 3-time Grammy award-winning bassist, fantastic jazz musician, Joy DeFrancesco, and Bilal Oliver, who was recently on a tribute, regarding the great Prince.
Yeah.
And you have been involved with their careers, developing them as young artists.
Yep, I've been really lucky.
Well, tell us how are you and how were you involved with them?
Well, many years ago, well, not that far ago, because I'll tell you my age, but the city supported a program. It was called Better Break Music Camp. And it was, of course, at that time, was a lot of music in the public schools. And I remember that particular year, I had just got out of college, and Better Break Music Camp had started. It was a program that was directed by the Recreation Department, the school district, and Settlement Music School. And I had a friend that was my next door neighbor, Ted Jordan, who was Commissioner of Recreation. And when I came home from college, he said, Lovett, what are you doing this summer? I said, well, I'm not really sure. I'll probably be playing some gigs. So he said, well, you want to work with the summer camp? And it started then. And I started out as the camp's direct librarian, furnishing music to the different ensembles.
And was this around the mid-'80s, around there?
Exactly.
Okay,
around the early 80s.
Yes, okay.
And so I went on, and eventually I became the jazz band director, thanks to Odine Pope, who was leaving to go with Max Roach. And when I took over the jazz band, right after the summer camp, I was offered the job at Settlement Music School to head a group called the Roman Haas Jazz Ensemble. And I had to choose several young people from the big band to play in the smaller ensemble.
Okay.
And in that initial group, there was several players that I chose, and eventually we lost a bass player, and one of the kids said, well, Mr. Hines, we have a young bass player from West Philadelphia that would probably fit the bass chair. So this little kid came in, I think about 11 years old, and had this huge bass. He could only play the blues, and he didn't play the blues completely right. He played it out of form. So I said, well, okay, we can work with that.
Okay.
And that was Christian McBride.
Wow. And he's no little guy anymore,
He's no little guy anymore, you know. And I think the next young man he came in was 9 years old. The father brought him in while we was having a rehearsal, and the father said he wants to join your group. And I said, okay, what can he play? And we were just at that time playing the song Sunny Moon for Two, which was the blues. And the father said, well, the young man can play. He can play that song you just finished working on. I said, okay, let me hear him play. And he sat down, 9 years old, really little kid, had a Beatle haircut. His feet wouldn't even touch the floor. He was sitting on the stool.
Of a piano?
A piano.
Okay.
And he played it. 9, and of course we put him in a group, and that was Joey DeFrancesco.
Wow.
And I think what happens, and I was listening to some of the young men here, and they said with his teaching, we didn't really advertise because at that point it was part of Settlement. So
Settlement Music School.
So
yes.
Young people who were interested in being in an ensemble would come.
Right.
And luckily, that's when all of these kids used to come in the program.
Right.
We would meet every Thursday in the basement.
At Settlement?
At Settlement.
Well, the one on Queen Street.
The one on Queen Street.
Okay.
Because I guess jazz wasn't really important then. They didn't know how important it would be. And the kids started to develop. And we would meet. One of the great things, one of the things that I came out of that for the adage for teaching, similarities, is that all those young people would continue to come every Thursday. Christian would never miss a class. Joey would never miss a class. Well, he didn't have any choice because his parents used to bring him. Right. Because he's 9 and 10. But sometimes it would only be the 3 of us.
Wow.
But they never missed class, and they continued to develop. And as we started to move forward, more young people started getting into programs, and it got to the point that when they graduated, I got more kids.
Right.
So now I started looking at my kids and my students in generations.
Right.
So Joey and Christian and Lewis Taylor, who's a young man here in Philadelphia. I look at some of the young people who has developed, some who's still here, some who's moved on. Then there was another group of young people. And Jonathan Blake, John Blake's son, came in. Jaleel Shaw is a young man now, plays with a lot of people in Philadelphia, in New York.
Right.
So that was a generation. Then I left Settlement and moved to the Clef Club.
Where you are now.
Where I am now, and I started there with 2 students. Okay, and that developed, and that's when I got Bilal, Oliver, Ornick, Ori Hodnick. He's a really great underground jazz player.
Right.
Questlove came in that, Demir Thompson and Jimmy Gray. So it became a generational.
And it's amazing because you have mentored and trained and developed all these young people into what has eventually become these really dynamic, successful musicians.
Yeah, and it's so funny because now when I really look at these young people now, where they are now, for instance, Christian McBride is over the Newport Jazz Festival, took off from George Wein. Mm-hmm. And it's so wonderful because at this point, this year on the Newport Jazz Festival, a lot of the artists that Christian has brought in are from Philadelphia.
Yes.
Orrin Evans, his big band is on it, of course.
I, of course, love hearing about the talent that's in our city and our region, just so rich in talent.
And just this morning, Wynton Marsalis was on the news, CBS News, I think, with John Batista, right?
Right.
And they're just getting ready to come out with a new album. And the album is playing the music of John Lewis, a legendary pianist from the Modern Jazz Quartet. And the story behind that is similar to what someone told me that's happening in Philadelphia. I think we need to tell it more, is that Ellis Marsalis, the Wynton Marsalis and Bradford Marsalis' father, had an education program in New Orleans. And it was a mecca for all these young people to develop. John Batista came out of that. He knew Wynton when he was 13 years old, and they grew together. Bradford Marsalis. So you have Terrence Blanchard. So you have this cadre of great musicians coming out of New Orleans and making their mark on the world, but staying, close together. The same thing has happened in Philadelphia. And someone keeps telling me, say, Lovett, you have to tell your story because we had that culture here in Philadelphia. These young men who came in today.
You're talking about MINKA, right? Standing by, acoustic guitar, synthesizer, ready to go.
And Barney here. And they said, well, Mr. Hines, we were at the Clef Club with certain musicians. And they neither stopped in, but they were part of that culture of development of young people. And I think the most important thing that has made Philadelphia a mecca in the jazz world, and someone asked me about that, is we're really known for development. During the post-bop period, a lot of the musicians who came out of Philadelphia was taken right up to New York, right, and flourished in major bands. Lee Morgan, of course, with Art Blakey, Bobby Timmons with Art Blakey, of course, McCoy Tyner with John Coltrane, and John Coltrane actually developed here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So we have been known for that mecca of developing great musicians, and it has continued. And I think what we're doing now, especially what you're doing with Philly Live,
well, thank you.
It's just overwhelming. Sometimes musicians tend to be in their little area. Jazz players and jazz players, rock players and rock in the rock world. Country western. I had no idea there was a strong country western.
Very strong.
Here in Philadelphia, but it comes together when you do that program. That's just so.
PJ Live Center Stage,
right?
And I love your involvement. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and right now, just like we said, Philadelphia is now celebrating Jazz Appreciation Month.
Yes.
And it's all over the city. I just got a call. The Philadelphia Jazz Festival is going to start.
Okay.
And one of the things that's so important about that is if you look at all the important meccas so far in music, the culture of music in Philadelphia, but in the country, you have New Orleans, you have Kansas City to a point, you have New York. Every place has some huge presentation presenting the music.
Right.
Philadelphia has never really put it together to have a major. We did in the 60s and the 70s. We had the Cool Jazz Festival.
Right.
Where George Wein would come in. Right. But we never had our own festival. So I think it's really important because we have all this talent, that we have our festival. I'm really elated about the beginning of a major festival that's going to encompass a lot of the clubs.
Yes.
It's going to bring significance to the music and to the musicians. So that's going on during I think to the end of the month.
Right.
And of course the Clef Club is going to be presenting a film series, which history is very important in the music.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And the Clef Club actually has got a lot of history, archived.
Yeah. And the thing about, I think the Clef Club is so important about that. Our motto is education.
Yes.
And I really was adamant about education. When I came to the Clef Club, I was bringing an education program, and the education program had to stay, and luckily it has continued to grow, and is one of the strongest programs at the Clef Club.
Very successful. And let me interrupt for a second, because for our listeners, you're hearing all this. You're hearing about Christian McBride, Questlove, all these people, and the man himself, Lovett Hines, he's still there. He's still in charge of music education. So for our listeners, how do they get in touch with the Clef Club? How do they get their kids or themselves involved? Maybe a Christmas present for dad. When you get a certain age, it's time to pick up a new activity. But how do they get in touch with you and the Clef Club?
One of the easiest ways is call us. Our phone number, we had Broad and Fitzwater right on the corner.
Yes.
We've been there for the last 20 years. The number is 215-893-9912. We are in a really great place right now. We have some funding, and we can actually offer free lessons to young people in the middle school age from 6th grade.
Wow, listen up, parents. I mean, you don't hear that word free, and you're talking about a Grammy award-winning, producing program here.
Yep. 6th grade to 8th grade, 9th grade. And one of the things that's so important that I'm really proud of, the young people who have been in our program over a period of 3 years.
Yes.
And usually some kids come to us, some young people come to us in 11th grade. Say, Mr. Hines, I decided to take music and I want to go to college and I want to, make a career out of it. But as far as college is concerned, when you come to us in your 11th grade and 12th grade, it's really, really hard.
Yes.
So those young people that come to us when they are 13 or 12 and stay in the program, our record is, and I can stand by it, and we checked it, 99% of the young people who's been in our program went on to college. The colleges of their choice.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We have one young man that I'm just so proud of, his name Joseph Block. And we entered the Essential Ellington contest. I think we talked about that. And I didn't think that we could do it because we entered so late. Well, the band, actually, big band, missed the cut. But the young man entered the composer competition and won first prize.
Wow.
And he ended up directing the Lincoln Center Orchestra. And he just got a full scholarship to 2 schools, a special program. It's the only one in the country, and he's going to go to the Columbia and Juilliard.
Wow. Now, listen, I don't know if anybody appreciates that, but Columbia, Juilliard, that's fantastic.
Yep. And, I just go on and on and on, because at this point, the education program and the young people, because someone asked me exactly, said, Lovett, what do you do? And I think the most important thing that we do at the Clef Club is exposure.
Yes.
And to give young people that freedom to develop artistically and find their own voices. And I think we've been successful at that. Another young man, Emmanuel Wilkins, who's a sophomore at Juilliard, is actually traveling with the Lincoln Center Orchestra in Asia.
Wow.
And he's not even out of college yet.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's hear that phone number again. Are you guys ready with your pens, your cell phones?
215-893-9912.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Not everybody really understands jazz, our listeners, and people say a lot of things, but how would you, Lovett Hines, how would you kind of describe jazz? What is jazz?
Well, there's a lot of definitions for jazz. I think the easiest way to describe jazz is basically talk about the major element of jazz, and that's improvisation. And there's another program that I'm so happy about, is the classical organization, the Chamber Orchestra of Philadelphia. We are going into a partnership, and we're going to talk about the coalition between improvisation in classical music and improvisation in jazz. So it exists. It's so very important. But I think the definition of what makes jazz is the improvisational factor of it. Young people or artists have a chance to find their own voice, to instantly compose on a given form. And if it's no more than, and usually when I work with young people, and we talk about jazz, we got to remember, young people coming into the program right now is the young people of this period.
Right.
This age, this social environment, the stimuli of what's happening with those young people right now, the music they're listening to right now. So to reach those young people, I can take a Beyonce song and show the key structure, the chord structure of that. And the kids, oh, that song I recognize. And then take that form and say, okay, well, play whatever you want on it. All right. Or develop, or when we've had a young kid, we played Love on Top.
Right.
And I heard the changes. I said, oh, those changes are wonderful. And the young man said, well, can I sing that? I said, well, that's a female song. I still want to sing it, right? And we played and wrote arrangement on it. So I think what happens is that element of improvisation, that element to take chances with the music can cross over. And we see that in a lot of the music being developed now. So jazz, in a word, to me, is the ability to improvise, improvisation, creative music.
Let me just throw out there that I, too, went to settlement music school. I had no choice. My mom drove me there.
No one understands.
No, but listen to this. See, first, my sister was learning piano, so I, of course, begged my mom, to take me to settlement. I was a little kid, and she took me to learn the violin.
Yeah.
And I had 4 years of violin lessons, and I learned that I am no musician. I also hated to practice, and I think I drove my instructor to almost like beating me with the bow. So what I've learned from that is that, I really appreciate people who have the talent and the ability to do music, and it's just not for everybody. I love music, but I certainly understand that some people are very gifted, and what you do for generations has been to help these people find that thing that is special about them, and to develop that. And you do it right here in Philadelphia.
Right here in Philadelphia. But it was not a failure. In your particular case, music appreciation is very, very important.
Yes.
So you learned to appreciate the music, and what did we get? Philly Live.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So you're a success. Yeah. So it worked out. It worked out beautifully.
Well, I have 4 kids, and 3 of them are learning the piano right now, and the little one, she'll once she gets past 2, she'll start learning as well. But I do believe, it develops another part of your brain, and it really helps you, make you be a more comprehensive person and things like that. And then if you do have the talent, but anyway, whether you're a good or bad musician, I'm a bad musician, but I enjoy my music. I could play like 2 songs of guitar. I play them again and again. I try for a third, but the music is just really a fantastic thing. In our final minutes here, let me just ask you if you could kind of look back over the generations of musicians and young people that you've mentored and developed, and what do you see that is common about just the most successful of these musicians? We have some musicians sitting here. They're fantastic, but of course, I'm sure they would love to hear your pearls of wisdom.
I think what I've found that's common, and this is a statement I've started to use, and it came from my grandson.
Okay.
And we were sitting at the table, and my grandson, he's 1 year old, 1.5, out of the clear blue sky, he said, patterns are predictable. And he and my father just looked at each other, and his father, my son, we just looked at each other. Patterns are predictable. And I thought about it, and I think that's so important. And when I look at the young people I've worked with,
Yes.
Certain patterns are predictable. Number one, we talked about commitment.
Yes.
Okay. The ability for constant development. Each one of these young people that I work with always wanted to continue to grow musically and artistically, but also academically.
Okay.
All right. I haven't had a lot of kids that had a problem academically in school, maybe because of the focus, and we're starting to look at the scientific development or the scientific aspects of why studying music is so important.
Right.
Okay, and that's starting to happen. The other part about that is the young people who want to develop, wanted to continue, either found certain parties or certain people or certain groups that felt the same way. I remember when the Roots came to me, and the first thing they said, well, Mr. Hines, we play jazz now, but we hear something else. But and they were all the same people doing the same program, okay?
Right.
And they had the same idea to develop. So they told me that the group was going to do hip hop, but and not jazz. And the first thing I said, oh, no, you can't do that because you've been selling jazz all the time. They said, but this is what we hear. Will you be disappointed? I said, no, just make it good. And the last thing that they told me, they said the name of the group is going to be the Roots. And I said that wouldn't work.
Wow.
Okay. Well, a couple of years later, they won a Grammy.
Right.
So what I tell my young people now, never ask me about the name of a group because it never works with me. But I think that commitment and all those kinds of things that come together and is similar, right?
Yes.
So if you stay focused, continue to grow, be presented in an atmosphere where you feel creative and that's presented to you, I think all those common bonds, all right, lead to success. So I see those types of patterns in all my young people that went on to really great things.
Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you for your time here and sharing your knowledge and your knowledge of music and history as well. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear from MINKA.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
All right, and we are back. Listen, our next guest is a rock band that is not really constrained by certain definitions. They say that they're going to get you dancing. And to just give us a little teaser, we're going to start out with a song, I Can't Shake This Feeling.
I can't shake this feeling. I can't shake this feeling. Someone's watching me. I just keep on walking, breathing and talking. I am not afraid of something I can't see. Sleeping in the bathtub, dreaming of a day I can be alone. I can feel the creeping and the crawling. I'm not going crazy. Someone's watching me. And I am paranoid. And I am miserable. And I try to hide. And I can't tell you why. 'Cause I've been driving downtown with the radio off and the satellites watching, always watching. Keeping both doors locked 'cause they'll wait around the corner, put you in a deep freeze, and they'll drag you across the border. Then you'll see that someone's watching me.
All right. That is MINKA. I know they want to keep going, but we only have a certain amount of time, and they are going to perform a song, kind of full length, a song called Gravity. But, this band was formed in 2012, I believe, and the band members are Dick Rubin, lead vocal, synthesizer, Barney Cortez on guitar, Joe Flack, bass, and Max Perla on drums. I have three of the members right here in the studio. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, and I'll lead off right with this, that I'll be talking to Dick Rubin in two personas, because Dick Rubin, that's his on-stage persona, and when he's not Dick Rubin, he's Ari Rubin.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so talking to Dick Rubin, why don't you tell our listeners about MINKA, how it got started, and what it's trying to do?
Well, MINKA really began by chance. We were on tour with another band, and we walked into the Viper Room in Los Angeles, and we just found Barney. He was just playing acoustic guitar by himself, and we just went up to him and was like, "Sounds great, let's do it." So here we are. So we've been playing a couple years. Playing the Philly circuit pretty hard, play a lot of house parties, and really we're trying ultimately to be more than just a band. I think we're trying to change people's perspective on what it means to exist.
Okay, how so?
Well, there's Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking. They talk about there's a high probability that we're actually living in a simulation, and that, reality as we know it is only a figment of our imagination. So taking that a step further, you realize that these things that you value, career, money, they don't matter. It's not real. So the only thing that's real are the feelings that you can perceive. So we try to encourage everyone to engage in a life of hedonism and pursue pleasure.
All right. The words of Dick Rubin and the band MINKA. Now, the interesting thing is that I watched this band perform at PHL Live Center Stage Rock category at Milk Boy, and what a dynamic performance. I mean, basically the music was fantastic, but just the dancing and the activity, all the energy, definitely, you are a wild man. I mean, basically you were all over the place. this, and it was so dynamic. Where do you get that energy, and what are you trying to give to your audience?
Well, I suppose I derive the energy from our philosophy. I think nihilism has gotten a bad rap, but there's a positive side to it, that if nothing exists and nothing matters, well then, you might as well do whatever you want. So, as Dick, which is my true self, I really feel completely unhinged and unfettered by the constraints of social mores, and so I just do whatever I want, and that involves moving in funky, weird ways. So I try to encourage that in everyone.
It's certainly very entertaining. Let me say that. We were just mesmerized by the band and the dynamic sound. Now, you're going to come out with a new EP, is that right?
Yes, it's coming out very soon. It's called Born in the Viper Room.
And we just heard the history of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's coming out. It's a 5-song EP, and we'll be distributing it at our show at the Foundry, which is upstairs at the Fillmore. That's April 15th.
Okay.
And just a little bit more about that. That's called the MINKA Carnival. And we're going to be having burlesque dancers, circus performers, magicians, live drip art, projectionists, contortionists, hula hoopers, in addition to a couple DJs and a band called The Mysteries. DJs are Attic Tapes and Leisure Muffin, both good friends. So ultimately, we're trying to have this be something that is just complete sensory overload. And people will hopefully never be the same after that evening.
All right.
And as part of that, we'll be giving out our CDs for whatever people want to pay for.
Okay. And for people who want to, know where to buy the EP or to buy tickets for your show, where do they go?
I think the best place is probably to find us on Facebook, and that would be, Facebook.com/WeAreMinka. We're also We Are Minka on Instagram, Snapchat, Bandcamp, weareminka.bandcamp.com, and we also have a website, weareminka.com. So, We Are Minka.
WeAreMinka. That's
it, baby.
All right.
You're a quick study.
Oh my goodness, I've been prepped. Now, let me do this, because your band has been featured by Y Vinyl, WXPN, Philadelphia Weekly, Philly.com, Jump Magazine, Celebrity, and so much more. But one of your trademarks, I think, I'm just imagining, is your house parties, because you've done over 100 house parties in 18 months.
Yep, that's right.
That's a lot of house parties.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Minka.
And we're just getting started.
All right. Now let me switch over to Ari, because
hi.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So all the hedonism, the craziness, taking off his shirt, all that stuff, dancing like a wild man. So we had this conversation after your performance. I just said, "Wow, what a fantastic show!" And you actually teach music.
Yes, that's correct.
And you're actually a very well-educated person. I don't know if I should let people know that, but you're highly...
I like to keep that hidden if possible.
Yes, okay. Well, let's not... Everybody pretend you didn't hear that. So we had a very intelligent conversation about education policy, but in particular, you were saying today that people can basically learn vocal lessons from you, Ari Rubin, and what is it that you're teaching? Because it's so interesting.
Well, it is a discussion that we could have over the course of several hours, but to summarize, I used to be in a band about 6 years ago, and I was just the keyboard player and helped write the music, but we had another singer, and he just was unwilling to develop his voice. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I don't know how to sing. I'm a terrible singer, but there's got to be a way. So I happened to find a teacher, Dorothy Stone, in New York, and she, just by stroke of luck, happened to specialize in a technique that's at this point about 1,600 years old.
Wow.
That has been largely abandoned by the vocal pedagogy establishment, because it's not quick fixes. There are no tricks. It's totally all about kinesthetic awareness and muscular coordination, and just incremental gains, building it up day by day. the balance of the two muscle groups that allow you to phonate.
Because I heard your vocal range, and you hit some super high notes, but then you were just telling me you weren't just born with that. You developed that through hard work.
Yeah. Well, hard work in a sense, in that I go to the lessons, but the lessons themselves are to make singing easy.
Wow.
So at this point, I've had hundreds of lessons, and it's, I don't think I'm the greatest singer in the world by any means, but I know that my voice works efficiently.
Right. Now, if people want to get lessons from you, where do they go?
Well, I teach out of my apartment in Fishtown. I think the easiest thing to do would be to email me. My email is rubincube@gmail.com. That's RUBINCUBE@gmail.
Well, listen, I mean, I wish I could sing. My mother was an opera singer, by the way. I have a very limited voice, but I have
For now.
Listen, I've got so much encouragement because what you're telling me is even a guy like me could actually increase my range and my texture and everything with lessons, which is, I love the hard work whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is a matter of, there is a talent involved, but it's not exactly necessarily the muscular coordination that you're given from birth. It's your ear and how well you can hear really slight changes in texture. And eventually those slight changes add up to monumental, fundamental, rethinking of your whole image of self.
Hey, I like it. Listen, everybody, if you want to sing and you can't, like so many of us, well, here's your opportunity. Did you give out your contact information? Give it one more time.
Okay, my email's rubincube@gmail.com. I came up with that in 5th grade, and it's probably my greatest creative achievement to date.
Okay, and now we're going to hear a full-length song here from MINKA, weareminka.com, right?
That's right.
And this song is called Gravity.
Yes, sir.
There's a planet spinning each and every day. I get dragged down by the gravity. I can't change what it does to me. Don't know what I'm after. Might just float away. But space gets cold in the nighttime. You got to come home in the day. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get free. I'm losing my gravity. It stops controlling me. I've been to New York City. I've been to New Orleans. They look so nice in the photographs. I don't think that I'm going back. I fly over the ocean. I fly into the sun. I'm gonna be a big star one day, and then I'll never fade away. I've got to get out of here. I need to get free. I'm losing my gravity. It stops controlling me. Can't keep the people down. It's already happening. I'm losing my gravity. It stops controlling me. Take it away, Bonnie. to get out of here. I gotta get free. I'm losing my gravity. It stops controlling me. Can't keep the people down. It's already happening. I'm losing my gravity. I'm losing my gravity. I'm losing my gravity. I'm losing my gravity.
Thank you.
All right, and that is MINKA. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Graham O'Neill and how to save on your taxes.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Krause. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
At any given moment, somewhere in America, a baby is taking a first step, a developmental milestone. But for too many parents, a baby's first steps aren't just a milestone. They're a miracle. These are the parents of babies who were born prematurely or with birth defects. It's a crisis affecting more than 500,000 babies in the United States each year. You can help them by joining volunteers like you who walk in March for Babies. The money you raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Together, our steps make stronger, healthier babies a reality for thousands of families. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org to take the steps that help make milestones and even miracles possible. Who will you march for?
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
Thanks for joining us. Listen, in our remaining time here, we're going to get right to it because what the people want to know, they want to know about tax breaks, tax credits, exemptions, because the government is always trying to get your money. I know, I'm a city councilman. So joining me today is Graham O'Neill. He is the administrator of the Taxpayer Assistance Programs here in the city of Philadelphia. He works for the Department of Revenue, and he is on your side. Welcome to the show, Graham.
Thank you for having us, Councilman.
Okay, and what programs are you particularly in charge of?
So I'm in charge of our Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Campaign, our Active Duty Tax Credit, our Homestead Exemption, our Senior Citizen Tax Freeze Program, and our Owner-Occupied Payment Agreement Program.
So there are additional programs that can help people, but they don't fall under your bailiwick. How would you describe the programs that you handle?
So I think ours are a residential tax program. So programs for the people of Philadelphia that own their home, or in the case of our Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Program, all Philadelphians who'd be eligible for that program.
Okay, could you describe some of these programs just so the listeners get a sense of which ones you're in charge of?
Sure, I'd love to. So I think the first one, the most timely right now, is our Federal Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Campaign, You Earned It Philly. And so I like to start off with what is the Earned Income Tax Credit. It's a refundable federal tax credit developed to assist low to moderate income individuals and families, and you can learn all about it at that website, www.youearneditphilly.com. But
youearneditphilly.com. Youearneditphilly.com.
Correct. Youearneditphilly.com.
Okay.
You can also text FILE to 99000, and we'll send information directly to your phone, or call our line at 215-686-9200, which is a special line dedicated just to the Earned Income Tax Credit.
Okay, fantastic.
And one of the reasons it's so important to Philadelphia, even though it's a federal program, is that we think over 200,000 people in Philadelphia are eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit, but we estimate that about 40,000 Philadelphians aren't applying for it every year. And with an average credit amount of $2,500, that means that Philadelphians are leaving about $100 million on the table that could and should be in the hands of Philadelphians.
Hey, listen, you people out there. Do you not need $2,500?
Exactly.
How do they claim this?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we do in terms of this campaign, not only do we have that website,
right.
The city also offers residents who make up to $54,000 a year free tax preparation services from IRS certified preparers at 20 locations throughout the city of Philadelphia. And this year alone, just since the beginning of tax filing season, residents of Philadelphia have claimed over $24 million in refunds by going to these sites.
All right.
You can also go back in time. And so if you just learned about this program, the Earned Income Tax Credit, and you realize, hey, in 2013, 2014, 2015, I didn't file for this either, you can go to one of those tax sites and they'll help you amend your returns. So that means if you think about it, that $2,500 over 3 years plus this year's, that's about $10,000 someone could walk home with in their pocket.
I know everybody needs an extra $10,000, and it's your money, right? You just didn't claim it.
Exactly. So it's your money. You paid the taxes on it. The government owes it to you. It's down there in D.C. Go into one of our sites, come in, work with us. We'll help you get that money right in your pocket.
And briefly, how much money for, let's say, a family of four, or whichever one you know on the top of your head, what is the limits there?
So the income limit for a family of four would be $53,505.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty expansive. There's a lot of people that are going to be eligible for it.
Right.
You don't even have to have kids. So a lot of people, it's one of the misconceptions.
Right.
You can be a single person. You can file for it. So just go ahead, and if you want to learn more about that program, again, go to www.youearneditphilly.com. That site's available in 9 different languages. Our materials are available in 9 different languages. And if you call into that phone number, 215-686-9200, you can speak to someone in the language of your choice.
Could you tell us about the homestead exemption and the senior citizen tax freeze?
I'd love to. So let's start with the homestead exemption. If you own your property in the city of Philadelphia and live in it, you're eligible for the homestead exemption. That's the whole requirement. There's no income requirements. It's a simple program, and it works by reducing the taxable value of your property assessment by $30,000. And what that translates into, non-tax speak is you save about $400 on your tax bills every year.
Right.
You can apply online through the link at www.phila.gov/revenue.
Yes.
You can also call over the phone by calling that same number I mentioned earlier, 215-686-9200. They'll help you apply over the phone, or you can go onto our website, that link I just mentioned, www.phila.gov/revenue, and download the application, put it in the mail, or come into one of our customer service centers throughout the city of Philadelphia.
And a senior citizen, how old do you have to be a senior citizen?
So to be a senior citizen for that senior tax freeze program, you have to be over the age of 65 or live with someone who's over the age of 65. Or if, unfortunately, you're over the age of 50 and you're a widow or a widower of someone who was 65 when they passed on, then you're also eligible for that senior tax freeze program. And that real estate tax freeze, what we do there is we just very simply freeze the amount of property taxes you pay each year so that it won't increase, and even if your property assessment or the tax rate changes. So you basically you pay that same bill, and if for some reason your taxes end up going down, we'll actually let you pay that lower amount as well.
Okay, that's great.
And so the income requirements for that program, because there are some income requirements, is $23,500 if you're a single person, or $31,500 if you're a married couple. What I like to tell people, too, there's a really popular program called the PACE or PACENet program, which many of our Pennsylvania seniors are well aware of. They know all about it. They got a little green or yellow card right in their wallet. If you're eligible for that program, if you own your home in Philadelphia and in your wallet's a PACE or PACENet card, you're eligible for senior tax freeze because they have the same exact income requirements.
Now, your taxes are frozen, but when you sell your property or your property passes, do you have to pay the difference?
No, there's no kind of requirements like that whatsoever.
So your taxes are just frozen where they are?
They're frozen at the level. So if, say, you're paying $1,000 when you apply every year, you're going to pay $1,000 every year, no matter even if your house triples in value, we'll stick it at $1,000. And if for some reason it goes down to $900, you'll end up paying that $900.
Wow. Well, listen, I hope you're hearing this because, if you're not taking advantage of this, you are leaving your money on the table. What about the owner-occupied payment agreement? What is that?
So the owner-occupied payment agreement is a program for people who, for whatever reason, may have fallen behind on their taxes, and now their taxes from past years are delinquent. And so what it does is it allows homeowners to make affordable monthly payments on those property taxes that are past due. And to be eligible, again, like the homestead exemption, you have to live in your home. Same thing with senior tax freeze.
Right.
And what you do is you fill out the application and you get to choose between one of two different options. You'll get a set amount based off your household income. So with this option, your monthly payment is a percentage of your income. So it could be either 5%, 8%, or 10%. Or option two, you can fill out that same application and we'll work with you to make an individualized budget amount that is based off of your income and expenses.
So you can actually work out a payment plan here in Philadelphia. And if you don't live in Philadelphia, listen, talk to your local government because they may have something to help you as well.
Many of the counties surrounding Philadelphia, and even throughout the country, have some sort of version of the homestead program. So
okay.
And the Earned Income Tax Credit, again, is a federal program.
Right. Applies to everybody.
One of the tax prep providers we work with, actually, a number of them have offices outside of Philadelphia as well.
Okay, and now finally, there is an active duty tax credit, and what is that?
Sure. So the active duty tax credit excuses reserve military service members from paying Philadelphia property taxes while they're called to active duty outside of this.
Reserve, National Guard.
Reserve, National Guard.
Right.
Yep. So Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force. As long as you're a reserve member who's been called to duty outside of the state of Pennsylvania, you'll be forgiven this property. You'll be excused from paying those property taxes. And we want more service members to know about the program. So we've recently begun working with the PA Department of Military and Veterans Affairs to spread information and outreach materials to all the units in the surrounding area that may have active duty members in them so that they can then give that information to their members and make sure that they know about it. One of the great parts of the program is if you're deployed and your family's still living in the home, you're still eligible for the program. So make sure you get that application in. And another great part is that the program was authorized in the year 2007, and service members can submit applications for prior years if their service was happened then. Then they can go on and so we on our website, again, at www.phila.gov/revenue, you can find the applications for 2014 through 2016 service. And if you need to file an application for years before that, you should email revenue@phila.gov or give us our call at 215-686-6442.
You've been listening to In the Know with David O on 860 AM WWDB. Tune in again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio with Philadelphia Councilman David O.